DUCARU. I am the honorary chairman of the Scientific Council at New Strategy Center, but I also have a day job. I'm the director of the European Union Satellite Center, and it is my honor and my pleasure to moderate this panel. This panel is dedicated to Romania's role in supporting Ukraine in the context of the war initiated by Russia against Ukraine, but also in the reconstruction of Ukraine. In this context, considering that this partnership relationship and this friendship between Romania and Ukraine should be further developed, it is my honor to invite here as panelists two governmental representatives, two representatives of our government, Mr. Ionel SCRIOTTEANU, State Secretary at the Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure, a very active ministry and a very hard-working State Secretary, especially in the context of this war at our eastern borders. And the State Secretary, Iulian FOTA, an old friend of ours and fellow colleague at NATO. He is a State Secretary leading the Strategic Relation Department within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I would like to give the floor to Mr. FOTA first and then to Mr. SCRIOTTEANU. And afterwards, I will ask some questions and launch some topics of debate, but I will also give you the floor in the Q&A session. Mr. FOTA, you have the floor. Good evening, Your Excellencies, esteemed public. I am honored to be here with you. I want to thank you for the invitation, and I will be brief. For sure, Mr. SCRIOTTEANU should be the VIP of the panel because at the Ministry of Transport, they launched a series of remarkable projects in the recent years, and you will see how involved is Romania in supporting Ukraine against this Russian aggression. I have two main ideas I would like to put forward. I think this year is our best year so far in terms of bilateral cooperation with Ukraine. We lived through some tense moments between Kiev and Bucharest and some good moments. There were moments of trust and the moments of zero cooperation and lack of trust, but this year we had good dialogue between the two presidents, and we had Mr. Zelensky's visit to Bucharest and our president's meeting at Bolboaca in the Republic of Moldova. We had visits from the prime ministers and the G2G visit 2 months ago. We had a very thick agenda and many discussions between our ministers, and I was in Kiev in June So this showcases a totally different relation, a relation based on trust, on mutual support, on consistent cooperation agenda. Now, we are building a relation that in the past, during our Soviet past, we didn't have. Now, with respect to road infrastructure and maritime infrastructure, during Soviet days, we had to go through Moscow for any kind of report. But now we focused on Ukraine's situation in order to support Ukraine to face the Russian aggression that had direct stakes, but we now have the opportunity to build the future steps to go through together. The two presidents started a discussion to transform the bilateral relations between Romania and Ukraine into a strategic partnership. We are in direct contact with our friends in Kiev to establish the details and the legal framework of this strategic partnership. And this mission we received from the two presidents is extremely important because it shows us the directions we are moving towards. And we are carrying out discussions that are relevant for Kiev to secure their security and be able to face the Russian aggression. And this makes me believe that the year 2024 will be better than 2023 in terms of diplomatic relations, just like 2023 was better than the previous year. So we made a lot of progress in our strategic relationship, and we are supporting each other in order to be able to face these moments of crisis. Romania is not directly targeted by Russia's aggression, but we are feeling the ripple effect, and we are tackling the issues with due diligence and in serious terms. I am impressed by the efforts made by our colleagues at the Ministry of Transport, and I would like to give my friend, Mr. SCRIOFTTEANU, the floor now. Thank you. Thank you for this introduction in the qualitative dimension of the bilateral relations. This strategic dimension is also important because this is a special context. We have to admit that. Now let's concentrate on more concrete elements. I know that the State Secretary has full schedule, but also bright plans for the future. You have the floor, Mr. SCRIOFTTEANU. Thank you once again for this opportunity. This is an opportunity to showcase the efforts made by Romania, especially by the Ministry of Transport, as a directly involved ministry in the support given by our country to Ukraine to be resilient in face of Russia's aggressions. I was in charge of managing the country's response to this war crisis, and we had to manage the refugee flow. We benefited from the civil society's support and immediate answer, because the civil society helped us a lot in managing the refugees, and because our railway network is very big one, although we had problems with maintaining the railroads, we managed to secure the predictability of the refugee flow and their final destination. And therefore, the people who crossed the border asking for Romania's help were well received, accommodated, and supported, and they benefited from governmental support and from our Romanian people's support, because our country wanted to support Ukraine to tackle this aggression. Afterwards, we concentrated on freight flows. Yes, not only exports, because exports and especially grain exports support Ukraine's economy, but 40 million people were cut off from the export routes. The first target that Russia had was the occupation of the Serpent Island in order to block all merchandise flow. And we had to answer this problem. I was part of the task force together with Prime Minister Ciucă, and we knew that suffocating Ukraine's economy was part of the weapons used by Russia against Ukraine. Then we don't have a continuous rail road because we have a gauge difference at our border. So Russia had the strategy of demolishing the bridges connecting Ukraine to Romania, the 26 bridges, and starting from 300,000 tons per month in March 2022, by the end of last year, we were helping Ukraine export 1 million ton per month only of grains, and then due to Romania's support, they managed to ship 3 million tons of oil seeds and grains. Merchandise shipped to the rest of the world. We did that with money from our own state budget. We dispatched amounts in order to invest in Constanța port, and we rehabilitated 110 internal discharge and loading lines, helping the loading and unloading of vessels. And then we focused on Galați port in order to export gas and fuel to the Republic of Moldova and the Ukraine. From the very beginning, we focused on trilateral relations. We tried to manage the crisis jointly. For example, in May 2022, Romania, the Republic of Moldova and Ukraine signed a document to manage the Sulina Channel. And since we have Brăila, Galați areas economy that needed our protection, we signed this document to set up a communication system and a joint management system in order for vessels that have a joint berth to get into the port and be handled. Otherwise, we would have faced logistical problems. And then we accessed European funding for these solidarity lanes, and we concluded the first project that will help the cargo flow from and to Ukraine, securing the Danube waterways, inland waterways up till the Black Sea. And we have set up a modern signaling system in order to be able to transit the area during nighttime as well. And this will increase the cargo shipped via Sulina channel by 60%, and 650 ships will transit this Sulina channel. And Galați, Brăila, Giurgiulești, Ismail Reni cluster will be thus served and secured. We have two border lines with Ukraine, one with the Republic of Moldova. We started building the first bridge over Tisa. This investment was much needed in the past 30 years, but it will become a checkpoint for trucks as well. This will be our second checkpoint because we have one in Halmeu, and we set up the first strategy Ukraine has with the EU member states on developing dwayne checkpoints, customs checkpoints, and we want to open other 8 checkpoints and border crossings in order to improve the connectivity, road connectivity especially, and thus eliminating bottlenecks in Siret, Halbița, with the Republic of Moldova, or Giurgiulești. Because we have an atypical border crossing there. And last Thursday, in a meeting I had with Ukraine's Deputy Prime Minister and the representatives of the US and the EU, we established a working group, and we decided to transform the 4 checkpoints in Giurgiulești, Galați into 2, but optimized in order to ease the loading and unloading of freight there. Of course, we do have plans for the future. and through our President and Prime Minister, we sent a list of future projects to the European Commission. Some are large-scale, some smaller in size, but they will be rolled out in the future, and they will connect the Republic of Moldova and Ukraine to our own infrastructure. And through the Romanian infrastructure, they will be connected to the other EU member states. Thank you, State Secretary. Please allow me to congratulate you. You have achieved many good results in a brief period of time, and this dynamics of trade that is growing month by month, and the transportation routes that have more generous capacity over time is spectacular, in my opinion. Before I open the Q&A session and invite the audience to ask questions or state comments, I would like to ask both state secretaries a question. What would you like from the European and transatlantic partners in the future in order to transform our strategic relevance and get Romania more involved into the reconstruction of Ukraine and Ukraine's accession to the EU? And what would you like to see the Ukrainian partners do in order to support our strategic position and efforts?
I will start speaking by the Ukrainian partners, because things are simple here. Our cooperation level and our relationship is quite tight on a daily basis. I see here my colleague, Ambassador Prokopchuk in Bucharest. We have sometimes even 4 meetings a day on a variety of questions. I keep in touch with colleagues in Kiev via the embassy and via our direct contact. So simply, let's keep up the pace, because it's beneficial to both states. When it comes to our Western partners, I have seen some fatigue, some inconsistencies, and I simply repeat what President Iohannis said in Varsovia during the meeting with the President of Poland. President Maia Sandu was there as well. He said something fundamental for us as Romanian. When defending Ukraine, we defend Romania. Ukraine's security is crucial for us as Romanians, and this is the right stance. And this should be everyone's approach, of France, of the US, of the UK. We all know about history. We understand Russia's expansion wishes. They won't stop. They will keep pushing the border with the Western world, and they kept doing it since 2007. Things have become even more clear, and via the diplomatic relationship we should do these things, and we should state things clearly, and I've been explaining things in the past as well. As an aside, at the first summit it attended in Istanbul, Romania has proposed the importance of the Black Sea on the agenda. And you can easily see that this year NATO has admitted that the Black Sea is of strategic importance for the alliance. And I still have more expectations because I see some superficiality. There's this play between personal or national interests and the collective Western interests. However, I do believe that despite the fact that we are living trying times, we will manage to pull together and to go beyond this moment. We have to keep explaining how important the Ukrainian cause is for us all. And Romania has contributed to these efforts much more than what it could have done. So we've sometimes exposed ourselves, made ourselves vulnerable so that Ukraine may prevail. Thank you. Mr. SCRIOTTEANU, all these efforts have been made based on EU or Romanian funding. Are you satisfied? Would you maybe wish to see more? So the same question goes to you as well. Speaking about our Ukrainian partners, there's no way to have other wishes for them. When our two governments had a joint meeting in Kiev, I've seen the atmospheres there, the friendliness and the cooperation relations at ministries level, at prime minister's level. They are very good, and it stems from here that the future holds the same. I do believe in this partnership, and I'd like for the Ukrainian colleagues to be convinced that we will make all the efforts in order to support them and work with them in fighting against Russia's attempts to suffocate their economy, exports and imports alike. As for the relationship with our European partners, we have a quite good partnership with various European chancelleries at the EU Commission level. However, I think that they should understand that what mechanisms we have available right now are outdated. They are not capable to deal with crisis situations such as the one we are facing right now. Some funding mechanisms with regard to connectivity projects should be more relaxed. We should also be able to identify new funding sources able to support imports and exports, and the effort we make in our day-to-day work. Some funding was disbursed from the state budget, most of them. Now we have a 17 million euro project for the Sulina Channel. This one has been co-funded by the EU Commission. under the solidarity funding. For all the rest, for the railway and road infrastructure in the border crossing points and other projects, so they have all been funded from the national budget. Thank you. Please allow me now to open the mic to the public, to our audience. You may ask questions or comment what's been said. Since we have no questions yet, I will ask myself a question, but know that if you have questions, you can chip in whenever you like. Or someone's telling me that we should better prepare for the reception now. Well, since I have a little bit more time, let me ask my question that goes to both panelists. Romania has constantly supported Ukraine's and the Republic of Moldova's integration in the EU. It just so happened that this confrontation, this war at the EU's frontier, has focused the EU member states' attention to this region, and they proposed to both countries candidacy. So, given this context, how do you view the perspective of supporting the political relationship and the integration process on the one side, and the same goes to Mr. FOTA and to Mr. SCRIOTTEANU. So how do you see this increase in transport connectivity between the two countries? You were telling us that there were more bridges crossing over the Prut River in past years. So how do you see that via the strategic space of Romania? The Russian aggression against Ukraine has a historic dimension via its opportunities as well. And one of these opportunities is the development of bilateral relations between Romania and Ukraine, and a trilateral cooperation as well, including the Republic of Moldova as well. And Mr. Grosu is present here as well. Mr. Ciucă is here also. So there's a very good cooperation at government level between our three countries, which is a very important relations. We are glad about it, and I'm certain that Kiev or Chisinau are also satisfied of its high quality. What we are now expecting is the adhesion decision for the Ukraine and the Republic of Moldova. This will give more framework to a cooperation we already have. We are focusing on the good governance concept and idea. If you ask me, this cooperation could only stop if both states are occupied militarily by Russia. However, otherwise, I don't see who else could stop us to further develop this cooperation cooperation in years to come. And the adhesion negotiations have given substance to this process. All that we currently do is aimed to the benefit of the citizens of these countries. We will keep needing gas and energy and electricity, so everything that we'll do will be beneficial for our citizens. How about you, State Secretary? Fortunately, Romania has a lot of connectivity projects in the Moldova area, which is near both Ukraine and the Republic of Moldova. So the moment is auspicious right now to develop the north-south corridor, A7, or the Moldova Highway. Has been contracted for 320 kilometers. We will launch the tender for the next segment from Pașcani to Suceava and then from Suceava to Siret, which will ensure a connectivity of the border to a high-speed road and then to Constanța. So this is a first very important transport access. Our wish, as I was saying earlier, is to be able to cross over to Cernăuți and to Lvov using this transport access and to have both railway and road transport. Another very important axis is A8, the so-called the Union Highway, as we call it in Romania. We have approved the technical and economic indicators for the segment crossing the Carpathian Mountains. And this will have as an end or intermediary point the bridge at Ungheni in the Republic of Moldova. This is the first bridge we've designed to cross over the Prut River and to also be a highway. And we'll hopefully find a builder that will take over the construction works, and then a high-speed road to Chișinău, as I discussed with the colleagues from the Republic of Moldova, so Chișinău to Odessa. We have rehabilitation projects for the railway infrastructure from the highway to Siret. We will submit projects for funding by the EU for most of these projects focusing on this area. Thank you so much for your contribution. We will end this panel here. Thank you, State Secretary FOTA and SCRIOTTEANU. Yes, we should give them a hand of applause because they have transitioned towards the next moment. We have here Mr. Nicolae Ciucă, President of the Romanian Senate, and Mr. Igor Grosu, President of the Parliament of the Republic of Moldova. This said, I give the floor to the next speakers. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Before inviting on stage the two presidents of the Romanian Senate and of the Parliament of the Republic of Moldova, we have prepared two brief moments. First of all, since we are right before the reception marking the end of this very intense day with useful discussions about Ukraine, the Republic of Moldova and Romania's strategic role, I would like to now give the floor so that you may know him and hear from him to Mr. Amech. And then we will hear from our other host, the mayor of Sinaia. Good evening, Your Excellencies, President of the Senate, President of the Parliament of the Republic of Moldova, State Secretaries. It is a great honor for me that my dream to transform Sinaia and this hotel in a Davos of this region, because why shouldn't we have here our own Davos? That is why I made this location available to our amazing government, our amazing leaders. The better the conditions, the better we'll be able to think, you'll have better discussions, and you will take us forward, us meaning this great nation. So it is an honor for me to have been able to make this location available and to have made it our own Davos. I now give the floor to the mayor of Sinaia, Mr. Vlad Oprea. President of the Senate, President of the Parliament of the Republic of Moldova, ladies and gentlemen, it has been an honor for me to have been your host for these 2 days. Sinaia has become one of the most important conference centers in Romania. There are a lot of medical conferences in spring and autumn here, but also political conferences, and the decisions made here are then carried further away to Bucharest. A year ago, we were celebrating with Chernomorsk near Odessa 20 years of collaboration, a very good collaboration. And then, a year on from that, the war broke out. That is why we have turned to our other city partners. And I'm speaking about Cascais in Portugal, a very strong and important city near Lisbon. And together with their mayor and the local council, we have organized transportation for almost 200 Ukrainians by plane. So they arrived to Cascais. It was a mission with excellent results. The women and children could live in Portugal. And now this reconstruction moment has come. It is, I think, the most important, and I hope you will find solutions to do it. And I am looking forward to receiving you in Sinaia in the future as well. So I was telling you that we'll have 2 moments. So one of them has ended. The second one is something that is very dear to us, in sign of appreciation for his activity in the Romanian army and for what he has done as Chief of Defense in the 4 years. We have here General Petrescu, the former Chief of Staff of Romania, and I would like to give him an excellence award. So, General, thank you so much for your cooperation and for what you've done in order to make Romania safer in these years. And I think I could also thank you for what you've done for Ukraine, contributing alongside other states and helping it resist, especially during the first month of the Russian aggression. You are seated near the other chief of defense that held this position before you, Mr. Ciucă, is now president of the Romanian Senate, and hopefully destiny will reserve and has other very important functions for him in the future as well. So please come on stage for your award. Thank you, Mr. Scutaru, President of the Parliament of the Republic of Moldova, the President of the Romanian Senate. Mr. Scutaru said that this was a very dear moment for him. The same goes for me. I'm not accustomed to receive awards or to be praised. I wasn't used to it when I was a military man. As a civilian, it's the same. But I would still like to thank you for this award. I appreciate the fact that this symbol comes from a relevant think tank, a think tank I've worked with very well for 4 years. The Romanian staff and New Strategy Center have had a very good cooperation, and we hold each other in high praise, in high regard. And I hope that we could also contribute with ideas to New Strategy Center's event. This is an important moment. I am no longer in the army. We usually don't give awards in the army. We simply say, very well done, you've done it, move on, carry on. And I realized that during those 4 years, and even before, during my career, I told my men many times, very well, carry on. Well, now maybe I should go back to those with whom I worked and tell them how much I appreciated them. And I will take then this opportunity to thank them all for the support they've given me. Speaking about the future now, I would like to thank you once again. It's an honor. Thank you, General Petrescu. Now we prepare for the final moment of the day. We have with us the President of the Republic of Moldova's Parliament, Mr. Grosu, and the President of the Romanian Senate, Mr. Nicolae Ciucă, and I invite their excellencies here on stage.
Și am să-l invit pe scenă, la pupitru, pe domnul.
Now I invite President Nicolae Ciucă for his intervention. Good evening, President of the Parliament of the Republic of Moldova, dear Speaker, Your Excellencies, dear ambassadors, dear Mayor, distinguished guests, dear General, former Chief of Staff for the Defense. I am glad to be here again alongside New Strategy Center. New Strategy Center once again managed to gather us all to debate about important topics for Romania, for Ukraine, for the Republic of Moldova, for the entire region, and for security at the Black Sea and in Europe. I liked Mr. Salameh's words about Davos of Eastern Europe. we should come here to get a clear mind and then return to Bucharest for work. But I know that today was a day full of debates. It was a consistent agenda, and I hope that we can get back to work in Bucharest, at least with the thought that some other time we can relax in Sinaia. Wisdom invites you not to answer Mr. Scutaru's challenges. This is why I would like to tell you, carry on. Romania, from the very beginning of this aggression, made efforts. The mayor mentioned the efforts made at local level, and then the governmental authorities got involved in supporting Ukraine after the first waves of refugees and after it was hit by the first missiles. We had a local initiative to support Ukraine as much as possible and to support the Republic of Moldova. I don't want to repeat what happened, but I would like to point out some relevant aspects. Firstly, Romania was Ukraine's neighbor, a neighbor that granted them consistent and coherent support. We had no gaps in our support. We always showed our intention to grant Ukraine support at all levels for all problems in all formats. Bilateral format is dictated by the proximity between the two countries and by the relation we have. International formats transformed Romania into a catalyst for the support granted to the Ukrainian population in order to allow Ukraine to maintain its capacity to defend the country. At the same time, our attention turned towards the Republic of Moldova to grant support So we organized bilateral meetings in Bucharest and Chișinău between our president and the Republic of Moldova's president. There were endeavors that were made, and we swiftly acted upon the necessities. We do have empathy and solidarity. This is why we can support everyone in need. So we granted moral support, financial support, diplomatic support. And our country showed the ability to grant an important contribution. We discussed about these topics numerous times in the past. I discussed with New Strategy Center and with Mr. Scutaru about the efforts to be made to support Ukraine. Thank you, Mr. Scutaru, for the fact that you understood that you need to create a platform for debate, for discussions, in order to allow the two countries to identify means to support each other. I took part in numerous conferences where we discussed what needs to be done to support the reconstruction of Ukraine, to support Ukraine and the Republic of Moldova. In my viewpoint, it is highly important to understand one important thing. We shouldn't wait for the war to stop in order to start and support the reconstruction of Ukraine. I think that until now we have supported Ukraine in its reconstruction process and its path to the accession in the EU, because Ukraine, together with the Republic of Moldova, started the accession negotiations, and we hope next week the European Council will have a confirmation. Now, no, tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, considering the high number of activities I've been involved in, I forgot that today is the 13th. And we will know how Romania's diplomatic contribution is translated into, or can be translated into, a positive decision. As I told you, there have been numerous discussions about how we can participate into the reconstruction of Ukraine. Yes, so we've mentioned the hub concept. Romania was the first hub. We set up the first hub in Suceava to collect aid for Ukraine and direct humanitarian aid. Romania was a hub for grain transportation. This is a problem that was the concern of the entire Europe. Ukraine's prime minister mentioned that 70% of grain exportation from Ukraine is done through Romania. So this hub should focus on two clear-cut directions. One is the political direction that needs to generate a decision to get together all stakeholders, all governments that want to participate in the reconstruction of Ukraine, and the other one is that of the investors, because, as the State Secretary FOTA said, the investors are the ones who see the opportunities in the tragic situation Ukraine is in, and they can bring a consistent contribution to the reconstruction of Ukraine. This is why these discussions, these analyses should be translated into governmental decisions, and they should also lead to the formation of a structure that will put on the table all the governmental tools that are helpful in this direction. We created an integrating component for the civil society's support and the entrepreneurs' support when it came to the refugee flow management. The same thing should be done about the reconstruction of Ukraine. So we need to set up a support structure to support the Republic of Moldova, who, although not directly affected, and we don't wish for that, it is a country that is economically and socially affected by the events in Ukraine. And President Grosu will tell you in detail about the needs of the Republic of Moldova, but also their openness to supporting the reconstruction of Ukraine. Now, I've told you that this hub shouldn't be set up after the war. It needs to be set up right now. We always spoke about doing things a priori, but for that we need to have clear ideas about the capacities that can be used in our country for such a purpose. Because in Ukraine, we know there are economic activities going on. So there is day-to-day life. There is a connection between the Ukrainian business environment and the Moldavian business environment, the Romanian business environment, and there is a business relation with other countries as well. This is why we need to think about how we can support Ukraine and create a cooperation hub, a platform, the hub dedicated for the reconstruction of Ukraine and for the support of the Republic of Moldova. I don't have too much to add about Romanian political willingness, because when President Zelensky visited Bucharest, we spoke about the strategic partnership, and decisions were made at governmental level, and I had a bilateral meeting with President Zelensky. We discussed there about all the ongoing events and about the possibilities to intensify our support and consolidate our support and the role Romania can play in the reconstruction of Ukraine. The same goes for the Republic of Moldova. Yes, indeed, we had meetings with officials from the Republic of Moldova, with Madam President and the Prime Minister of the Republic of Moldova. Sometimes we even met twice a month, and these meetings mattered because we were on the same page when it came to understanding the situation and identifying support measures. I had a bilateral with the president, and we discussed about the positive side of having a rich dialogue and a set of solutions on the table, because this shows that there's hope for the situation to relax, and there's hope when it comes to putting forward ideas to support the Republic of Moldova and the reconstruction of Ukraine. So here in the Davos of Eastern Europe, we should get back to the office in Bucharest and create a plan with concrete directions about the hub, who should take part in it, how it should be set up, who the representatives of the two countries are, in order to coordinate the needs. We should understand who the liaison for the business environment is and identify those available to take part in the process. We need to be on the same page with the other players as well. Romania does have a capacity, but it is limited. We need the international component as well, with participation from countries that understand this contribution to the reconstruction of Ukraine. After we establish all the details, I am convinced that Mr. DUCARU will organize another conference in which New Strategy Center can somehow pull all these capacities and transform them into deeds, from analysis to deeds, to facts. We appreciate the host's effort. I do hope that the mayor won't change the name of this town. I hope it will remain Sinaia, and I hope New Strategy Center will remain as active as they are, and I hope the new Chief of Staff for Defense will be just as involved in the activities of this Romanian think tank, because we are very proud of its activities. This think tank managed to become relevant in 8 years, and now it has national and international relevance. I do hope they will remain just as active in the years to come. Yesterday I was invited by another think tank. Can I name the think tank? It's not the competition. It is called Rethink. They have set up a strategy for Romania Romania 2050. They had various analysis and development directions for a set of solutions. So they had plans for the next stages up till 2030. But it is not a well-known thing. I think these think tanks should be better known and better advertised for, because we have people who are attracted by this kind of activities. And if Romania didn't manage to invest enough money in research and development, maybe through these think tanks, it will be able to influence decisions and stimulate creativity and innovation in our country. Thank you very much and congratulations once again. I hope I did not take too much of your time, especially since we have a reception afterwards, a dinner afterwards. Thank you. Strategic thinking should not be a monopoly. Maybe the first step you referred to is the panel in which we had 5 special envoys, special guests from the US, from Ukraine. We have France's, Germany's, and Greece's special representative, special envoy. And I do hope in the future Romania will have such a special envoy for the reconstruction of Ukraine. Now I give the floor to His Excellency Igor Grosu, President of the Parliament of the Republic of Moldova, the Speaker of the Parliament. You have the floor.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your invitation and for giving me the opportunity to speak here during this forum. It's quite complicated to have the mic right at the end of an event and after Mr. Ciucă. However, I try to be brief and to make my points. Ukraine's reconstruction is a topic and a priority not only for Europe, but for the whole of the world. For, let's say, the good side of human civilization, who is opposed to the imperialistic ambitions of the Russian Federation. And Ukraine and unfortunately the Republic of Moldova indirectly know very well what these ambitions mean and how dangerous they can be, not only for themselves but for the whole of Europe. You spoke about opportunities that we can identify even in this complicated situation. You are right. We have to look at things from this opportunities point of view. This is a tragedy. What's now happening here is an unjust war, which is held by the Russian Federation against Ukraine, and Romania and the Republic of Moldova are not only neighboring countries, but they also have the longest border with Ukraine. And what we have done, and will keep doing it, with absolutely no interest whatsoever, is to open up our homes to Ukrainian refugees. We have welcomed them and will keep doing so, as if they were our own brothers or sisters. It's hard to say how many refugees from Ukraine are currently in the Republic of Moldova. It's women and children, old people as well. The good side of the story is that they have quite easily integrated, let's say, since there's no language barrier there. And then we've simplified the procedures as well, and access to the labor market, to healthcare services and social care services, hoping to help them to the best of our abilities. And we hope we'll be able to do it as long as it is necessary, of course, according to the resources we have available. This is a moment, both for Ukraine and for the Republic of Moldova, of utmost importance. As the President said, tomorrow and after tomorrow, a decision of historic importance will be passed. The opening of the accession negotiations to the EU. And we really hope to be able to be a part of this civilization area. It is merely a natural wish. It is us coming back into the European family. We were broken from it by the Russian Empire, the Tsarist Empire. So our two peoples only naturally tend to go back to the space they belong to. And we hope that the 27 member states will adopt decisions sooner or later. Anyway, our European pathway is an irreversible one. I was telling you about the reconstruction process. What we have to do, and we already started doing it, is to build bridges between Ukraine and the EU. And given the position we hold, we, the Republic of Moldova and Romania, we have to do it. We already have concrete projects, and the State Secretary was speaking about those projects and agreements regarding the bridges over the Prut River. We have an agreement with our Ukrainian friends with regard to the Soroka, Kosouți bridges, and will keep investing into the railway and road infrastructure. And we do understand that this infrastructure should be used 100% in order to help our friends export commodities and grain, especially towards other markets. So by using this communication and transportation ways, of course, there's a two-way road when the reconstruction process will begin, and it will begin. So events such as this one are paramount in order to prepare the states and the governments on the one side. On the other side, to prepare the business environment that will benefit from those logistic hubs. And together we will all take part in Ukraine's reconstruction process. And I was speaking to the president before this session, and wondering what Romania could do for the Republic of Moldova. Romania has already done a lot. I should also mention the help they've given us during the pandemic, and when our energy infrastructure was hit by the strikes in Ukraine. So Romania has helped us with energy, and it helped our cities and villages. So they are our long-standing ally, but I think we should focus on investments, especially. Despite our historic, spiritual, or heartfelt connections, I think that the most important thing right now are investments. And we should think about investment tools and insurance tools, insurance by the governments, by the states. So via these tools, we can build bridges. I know that discussions are ongoing right now in Romania about that, about how the states and the governments can better help investors in order to guarantee or insure or offset risks, which we should admit it are there. They do exist in such a situation. They take risks whenever they make a decision to come and invest in a country. This is our homework, I think. For those of us representing parliaments or governments. And the format given to us by the organizers of this event, the New Strategy Center, is a very good one to have an exchange of views. How about the challenges we are facing? In my opinion, there are a couple of challenges. First of all, we should engage and convince the other EU member states to keep on helping Ukraine, because it's them who are fighting. They are paying the dearest price. They are defending us. They are defending the EU. If Ukraine didn't exist, we would have been the next victim, and no one knows where they would have stopped. We, of course, follow discussions with a lot of attention and concern. So we should say it loudly. It is important to keep on supporting, helping Ukraine for as long as it's necessary. So, speaking from our experience in the Republic of Moldova, and I'm speaking about our latest elections, I have seen such a cynicism, a ferocious cynicism of cyber and hybrid attacks. We've seen a focused interest to have an impact on the electoral process. These tools are used by criminal groups disguised as political parties. We've seen attempts to corrupt political leaders and opinion setters. So there's been a lot of attempts carried out in the Republic of Moldova. Now, looking back to these elections, I can now say that the Republic of Moldova has managed to stop such attempts. We have taken measures that may seem harsh to some, but let me tell you that when we deal with an attack or a danger to our national security, we have to step in a decisive and harsh manner. because what the Russian Federation wants is to scare the population and to weaken the citizens' trust in the government bodies. That's the most wanted thing. So that's why we need to talk amongst ourselves, to have an exchange of views and experience in order to better shield ourselves from these hybrid attacks. They use it tentatively towards Romania as well. So they use us as a jumping board to see if they could carry such attacks in other countries as well, especially Romania. So we have to discuss and maintain our resilience. In conclusion, I would like to congratulate the organizers of this event. This discussion needs to be continued, and I come back to what I said earlier, our homework as government representatives. Our countries' governments need to prepare those guarantees and those tools in order to ensure investments safety. Thank you once again for your attention. I wish you the very best of luck, and I would like to also thank the Town Hall of Sinaia for hosting such events, and I am looking forward to attending other events that you may organize. Thank you, Your Excellencies. Before the final word, I would like to ask one more question. So you mentioned hybrid threats. When speaking about Russians, one should always think the worst. So what is, in your opinion, the biggest challenge that you will have to face in 2024? And I have the same question for His Excellency Mr. Ciucă. It will be a difficult year for Romania as well. We have a lot of elections. We see the emergence of very vocal parties that have a Russian narrative. So what would be the biggest challenges that Romania may have to face in 2024 in such a very difficult context with a war that rages on at our border, with a war of attrition and growing fatigue? Mr. Grosu? Well, challenges for 2024. We have to contend with an electoral year, so we have presidential elections, and Russia will not give up its plans for us. Thanks to the heroics of our friends and neighbors, we don't see any imminent risk for our border. However, hybrid attacks will be everywhere. We can already see it right now. We have felt their sting. What we should keep doing is to consolidate our institutions, and there's a priority here. Although many take it for granted, for us it's a crucial priority. That is reforming the justice system and the electoral process, and all hybrid attacks have shown us how important it is to continue the justice system reform, to consolidate our state, be it in the defense department or in the energy security field, or in the legislative branch. So we should keep on strengthening these areas. And secondly, we should show our citizens that the European integration process is an irreversible one. Indeed, we have to contend with fatigue. We've seen it. We shouldn't ignore it. It's an additional burden on us, politicians, because it forces us to deliver, and to deliver as soon as possible on our promises, lest people should give in to this fatigue. And I'm now looking at the President, because we rely a lot on Romanian investments. An important step taken in 2023 was to invest in gas infrastructure. That, to me, was the investment of the year. It was something that hadn't been done for tens of years before, and that's the pathway we should take, and focus next on the electricity connection infrastructure, and there are a lot of other things that we haven't mentioned here, but that's the way. 2024 should be the year when the government, the Romanian state, becomes our main investor, and that would be a signal for other Romanian investors or foreign investors that have already established themselves in Romania, that have good businesses here, and maybe they can turn their attention to the Republic of Moldova. Thank you, President Grosu.
Please, President Ciucă. The greatest challenge for Romania in 2024 since it is an election year, is the fact that our political future for the next 4 or 5 years will be decided in 2024. So we should have this debate as a natural consequence, but we need to speak about economic stability as well. We need to speak about financial stability, budgetary stability. We need to discuss about security issues. So there are various elements to take into account. I would like to reiterate what I consider the greatest danger for next year to be political instability. Political instability that would lead to breaches that will be windows of opportunity for those who would like to attack us, because these security breaches will transform into rifts and destabilization tools taking our country in a different direction than the one we were used to and we have been used to. I discussed with His Excellency Mr. Grossu, and I discussed about the campaign for local elections, and we are not speaking about general elections or presidential elections or EU elections or elections for the Parliament of Europe. We should discuss about Ukraine, about the Republic of Moldova, and what will happen in the Republic of Moldova, what will happen in Romania and in other Western countries. And we know that Russia's main goals were to destabilize the transatlantic alliance and the EU, and they can do that especially during election campaigns because they can widen the gap during the campaign. Political parties, no matter their points of view, could in the past sit at the same table and find a common denominator, common values, and discuss. Can you do that with a nationalist extremist party? Can anyone do that? Such a gap, such a divide can have a ripple effect in all other sectors of our lives, and that won't lead to peace and development. That will lead to instability, confrontation, and all kinds of actions that can lead to anything except for accomplishments we've been used to in the past years. They will stir us away from the path of balance and development and progress and stability. This is what's in store for us if we are not able to manage this balance and this stability. President Grossu was saying that he doesn't want to think what would have happened if Ukraine didn't hold. Let's think about the interwar period. That's when extremism, nationalism developed, thrived. That led to the Second World War. Those were the root causes for millions of deaths. This is why we were divided into two blocks. This is why we were so unfortunate to be floating adrift for half a century during the communist age. We can now speak about a comeback of our country. The fact that we managed to rise again. We were given support and we took advantage of the benefits of being a NATO member state and a EU member state. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why we need to support the Republic of Moldova's accession to the EU and Ukraine's accession to the EU, because that means taking them in a different direction the direction of development and stability. We should not be afraid of speaking about what Romania looked like in the years 2000. We should not be afraid of admitting that only today did we manage to have sewage and running water in 60% of our localities. Let's not forget the cobblestone roads or the unpaved roads we used to have. Now we are speaking about the fact that we have highways and we have asphalt on our roads, even in our villages. We accomplished that with European money. What will happen to Romania if extremist parties, but I do hope they won't succeed, if they gain power? Because maybe people's perception and people's understanding of a certain event or another, or a black swan, triggers such consequences. Our role as politicians, I am not yet an authentic political figure. Don't worry. Our responsibility as politicians is to ensure our country's political path and stability. We should be a pillar of security and stability at the Black Sea, in the Black Sea region. Thank you, dear Speaker of the Senate. I hope we as a country won't lose the elections in 2024 because we need to carry out investments in the Republic of Moldova and in Ukraine and support their accession to the EU. Tomorrow's first panel is the post-war security architecture in Europe. And you mentioned historical times, and you mentioned the interwar period. We shouldn't repeat that mistake when they try to strike a deal with Hitler in Munich, hoping to avoid a conflict, but they only managed to have a pathway towards an open war, and they had only an illusion of a peace. I hope we won't repeat that mistake, and I hope we won't be as weak and as we were in 2008 when Russia attacked Georgia and when Russia annexed Crimea. Let's hope we won't give up to the war fatigue, because this will only be a window of opportunity for Russia to become more aggressive. There was a deal in 2008 when Georgia was attacked, but it was not respected, nor was the deal in Munich with Hitler, nor was the deal in 2014. And since we mentioned history and what means to open Pandora's box, in 1942 the war stopped there where it met a strong obstacle. We shouldn't trust deals. We shouldn't trust those moments in which we have unresolved outcomes. or various tales. If we think about the UN Charter and all these other treaties that were not respected, they will not be respected if we don't find a solution to solve the matter once and for all. Otherwise, we only have temporary solutions that will have very dire outcomes. Thank you. Thank you for your interventions. I would like to invite you all at a cocktail dinner to mark the ending of this